Right guys, in this episode we're off to Elgin for a tournament. Exciting times. It's up in the very north of Scotland, so we get to go up through the Highlands. So that'll be a nice beautiful journey. Already a wee hiccup. I kind of forgot I'd booked Bucky in for a wee check-up the morning that we were supposed to leave, so I'm rushing over to the vet quickly before we leave. He's completely fine, he's not sick. He's just going for a wee check-up. But is he heavy? That's the one thing about having a giant rabbit, man. Taking him to the vet, fucking, it's like a workout in itself. Jesus. Anyway, see you in a bit. Oh, right guys, welcome to the most secure fence in all of Scotland. I'm a bit of a loss, I don't know how I'm going to get out of here. Oh wait, here we go. Oof. That was close. Nearly got trapped there. Wish I'd thought of this sooner. Bucky's a little bit bigger than you, mate. Is this a Lord of the Rings channel, or is it a fucking wildlife documentary? What the fuck is going on today? Sorry guys. Anyway, now that the animals of Farthingwood is out of the way, it was time to head off to the tournament. After getting picked up by these two absolute melts here, the plan was to just drive all the way up to Elgin and enjoy the beautiful scenery on the way. However, after hitting the Cairngorm National Park, we realised we had all day to kill, so we decided to stop off at Aviemore and get some barbecue supplies before looking for a place in the national park for a nice spot for a barbecue. We ended up on this mad adventure trying to find a spot to have a barbecue. It was harder than we thought to find a place, as there's a lot of places you can't have barbecues or open fires in the national park, and also because Fraser is scared of walking down hills. What about that bit of verge there?
You can fucking back up this.
Ah, you will.
No, I'm fine.
So, look at this me.
I'm not going to do that.
We were keen to find a nice secluded spot near the river, however it wasn't to be, and we ended up just heading back to the car and having the most disastrous barbecue ever. So we finally got the shittest barbecue ever going by the side of the car, got some onions on it, and after a brief health scare due to me eating some plastic coating on a sausage, I thought that was...
I thought you were putting it
Please tell me that's edible.
It's fucking plastic, John. No, of course it's not.
Remove all packaging, including casing on an individual hot dog.
Oh my god, that's not plastic and I ate that.
Inedible casing.
Should I make myself sick?
No, you'll shit it out.
Yeah, I'm sure
you
you'll be
won't
fine.
digest it. You're probably going to have monster shit, so...
How much did you eat? Not a lot.
Fucking half a hot
One
dog
and a
for.
hot bite, a full one.
Jesus. I just play it safe.
Does it say non-edible?
It says inedible.
Inedible.
Remove all packaging, including each individual hot before eating. A biodegradable material.
Aye, so you'll shit it out.
So it's fine.
I don't know what those
It's not, it doesn't say inedible, it says biodegradable, you prick.
Cooked and smoked pork hot dogs in inedible casing.
We finally got to cooking the main course.
Oh, I think they're good.
See in the middle of the tournament tomorrow, just pull one out your pocket and bite into it.
Raw. Fucking raw. Oh, by the way, I've not shown you what I've dropped at the tournament.
A dildo.
Just gonna bring out the red underwear again.
Oh yes, look at that.
That looks good. I'm not gonna lie, his looks like a deep body.
It looks like a pure pedo steak, man, look at that.
Oh. Look good.
Look at that. That actually just looks like a big fanny flap, that does. That's fucking disgusting. No wonder they call it beef curtains.
These the
Oh my god.
These the sticks clean.
I'll have this
3
one.
reprobates headed up to the Elgin. I'm doing it.
Alright, thank you. Do you want to take that?
Anyway, I know what you're thinking, John, this is a Lord of the Rings channel. Where the fuck is the Lord of the Rings? So while we're cooking this, I will go through my list with you. So this is a de-escalation good versus evil event. I am on Team Evil for this tournament. The first points level is 973 points. If you're wondering why it's 973, it's the rings that were made. Moving on, my list is called the Shadow Lord's Suckfest. And although it's called that, Razgush is my leader because there was a Conquest of Champions in this scenario pack, so I didn't think it'd be a good idea to have the Shadow Lord as the leader. If there were no Conquest, I probably would have had him as the leader. Anyway, after Razgush and the Shadow Lord, we have 2 Troll Chieftains, and finally we have Kardouche. This means that Kardouche can suck off his trackers to get will back, and then when we get really late in the game, the Shadow Lord can then suck Kardouche off, having a big old suckfest on the table. The warbands are just filled with loads of Mordor orcs. If I was to do it again, I think I would maybe take a front line of Morannons. The Hatred Elf was nice, but in this tournament there was only one elf player, so the orcs were pretty lacklustre sadly. The bats in combination with the Chiefies was absolutely fantastic. You might think I might be missing out on a march, but when you've got the Shadow Lord protecting your army from shooting, and if you just forward deploy, you don't really need the march in my opinion. Anyway, with the list gone over and the absolute disastrous barbecue over, it was time to move on. We were aiming to go straight on to Elgin, however we found a really nice spot by the river, so we went to take a wee look.
There we go, the river. The River Spey. Just think, all that water feeds over 100 distilleries. Just think of all that whiskey. There's some whiskey. Well, as long as it give it a nice bit of flavour.
Seasoning.
A bit of seasoning. Wonder which distilleries are working today. See, if I drank it now, that water would never become whiskey. Unless it ferments in my sack.
That was deep.
I went through my whole life without hearing that.
He's trying to face Gandhi.
Anyway, arriving in the beautiful northern city of Elgin. I'm not sure how it's classed as a city when there's only 20,000 people living there, but the locals won't shut up about it. A quick stop to check out Fraser and Stuart's accommodation.
Is your,
The guest house.
is this your guest house?
It's
Is it
good.
Is this what Fraser has booked for you? Fucking hell, man.
Only £70 a night.
Before going through town to find a local pub.
Some awe-inspiring messages on the church here. Blessed be those. I like this one. Be gay, do crime.
Anyway, found a local pub and had a wee bite to eat, followed by some pints and some whiskies, before heading back to the sexiest man in the north of Scotland's house for a nice wee fireside evening.
Nice wee present here from Cammy. At least he spelt Quest right.
Anyway, finally, tournament day. Despite not having too much to drink, I was still absolutely gubbed, as I am getting far too old these days for drinking.
Oh! Bananas. Yeah, I'll have a banana. I fucking love banana. Here we go. I fucking hate this. Who can drink this stuff, man? Oh, look, that's fucking perfect.
Anyway, that's us 10 minutes into this video, and it's finally time for some Lord of the Rings. And my first game is up against Dave and his dwarves. So first game was Fog of War. I had to take the house on the far left, defend the Shadow Lord, and kill his Dwarf King. I just started 12 inches on the board and decided I was going to push the majority of my force up the left flank to try and get the building while holding the left as best as I could. Some crack shooting from my trackers, I managed to kill 2 Hearthguard in the first turn, so I thought my small remnant on the right flank might actually be able to do something. However, it was short-lived, as even despite the Shadow Lord being there with his ability up, the Dwarf Ballista managed to hit its target in front of the Shadow Lord and fire an arc right through his horse. Just more pushing up the left flank and holding on to the right, trying to get that terrain piece objective. The lines finally met on both sides. The Hearthguard made quick work of my trackers, who had not managed to get another shot on target, which was a shame. My army was able to push through his guys on the left and get them off the objective, so I secured that. And because of this water feature in the middle, I had a cunning plan. In my head, I was winning the game because I had captured his terrain piece. So as we have this nice lovely pond in the middle with all my orcs in, I decided they needed a bit of a wash, as it had been a while since they'd had a good clean. They all decided to lie down in the river and drown themselves. My aim was to now break my army as fast as I could and therefore win the game on a 1 or a 2. However, due to me being a complete melt, in my last turn I did manage to get my Chiefy killed. I didn't think much of it, as there was no way he was going to choose the beefy Chiefy as his target, and I may have also forgot that you got points for being broken.
Cool, so you get 3 for claiming this house.
Yep.
For your terrain piece. You get 3 for keeping your Shadow Lord alive.
Yep.
Which gives you 6. I get 3 for claiming this wee
Yep.
here. I get 3 for breaking you and staying unbroken. I get 3 for keeping my Dwarf King alive.
Yeah. This is the
And
sore
I
one.
get 3 for killing the old beefy Chiefy.
He killed the Chiefy, that was his target.
My target.
That's clever, because I was probably going to chuck him in, wasn't I?
That was my guess. I was like, the Chiefys are going to be in combat, whereas the 2 magic casters are going to be hiding at the back.
Pissing
It's
about,
going to be hard for me to get to them. With my movement at 5.
So, lost for my first game. I did think I was being really fancy and clever, drowning all my orcs in the middle pond, but it ended up I was just being a complete idiot. First game we've been playing in Rovanian. The good team did win the first round, which meant their campaign bonus would be in future games all their leaders would be fearless. Our game ended a bit earlier than others, so I was able to get a good look around at the rest of the tables on display. Some absolutely amazing armies were on display.
Vlogging!
Vlogging! Just getting some shots of your army, if that's okay.
What was bad before? Volomir's first charge. That's with the banner.
That is delicious. Finally. Some good fucking
Lord of the Rings. Anyway, a quick break for lunch, stuff my face with a sandwich and pour iron brew all over my legs before moving on to Game 2. Game 2 would be fighting in Mordor, so there would be a wee Eye of Sauron in the table. It didn't come into play at all in our game, so we'll just ignore that. But whoever wins the game for the rest of the tournament will have terror-causing heroes. I decided to set up the majority of my army on the right flank and have just a little bit on the left. In hindsight, I should have probably deployed together, but I wanted to split him each side of this house here. As it was Lords of Battle, I did consider just hiding, but all I had to do was get one bow kill and the game would be his. This meant that I had to charge up the table towards a gun line of 30-inch archers, which was lovely. Again, turn 1 of shooting, the Shadow Lord lost his horse and took a wound from Legolas, using up both of his fate as well, so the Shadow Lord and his ability have been doing sweet fuck all for himself this whole tournament. Anyway, the lines clashed and it was just a bit of a slugfest. I was just trying to get round the flank with the Chiefy and the bats and get him to Legolas, or any other juicy targets that I could get a hold of, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. You can see a nice heroic combat here, but I was unfortunately half an inch out of getting Legolas, so it was a bit of a sad time for me. I did manage to collapse the left flank, but it was too little too soon. Aragorn managed to kill Razgush, which was a bit of a pain. Despite Aragorn being transfixed by the Shadow Lord, the Razgush just could not just win the fight to save himself. This was some precious VPs that I could have gained, but the dice just were not with me that day. But anyway, a quick word from our sponsor, Connor Kerr.
Joe?
Joe Marrow.
That's me. Okay. So, shoot in.
Subscribe,
You can use 2 weeks shoot into your contacts if you want.
Also, I pulled the Chiefy back from the other flank. I don't know why I did that. I should have just got him stuck in. Did mean that my beefy Chiefy did absolutely f*** all for the whole game, apart from wander about the streets of this old town. Also sucked off Cardouche and only got 1 will back, which was absolutely fantastic. Just what I needed to help win this scenario. So the game ended and all we had to do was compare the dead piles here, and we can quite easily see that I got absolutely spanked. I never quite could get to Leggy. I lost like every priority and roll off, so he was always able to block the Chiefy off with some boys. Just meant my army collapsed before I was able to really take any kind of advantage on this flank. So Evo also lost this round of the tournament, so this meant that heroes were now fearless and had the terror special rule. So game 3 is now de-escalated to the lower points value, so we lose a Chiefy and his warband. And as luck would have it, for game 3 I was against Rohan in recon. So you'd think the odds were stacked against me in this scenario. However, the TOs had decided that the river in the middle of this board was deep water. This meant I only had a couple of choke points that I had to really shore up, which was fantastic news for me. I just got the beefy into the middle and held up the bridge for most of the game, while Cardouche and the Shadow Lord threw mad spells at all the riders coming across. He was extremely lucky with his magic and his 1-will heroes. He kept rolling 6s to resist spells. This meant he got his will back and kept his horses and his heroes alive. I had to then suck off more orcs to get will back on Cardouche than I was hoping for. I believe Cardouche also took a throwing spear to the face off a bridge, but managed to save it with his fate. Aylmer went for a daring rammy round the right flank and charged into a bunch of guys. Unfortunately for Fraser, I had my bats there, so I was able to half his fight and kill him. If it wasn't for the VATs, I think Aylmer could have wiped off that entire flank himself, including my leader. It's amazing how the mightiest heroes in the game are just absolutely neutered by a couple of flappy little cunts. Apologies, I don't have much footage of this game after this point, as me and Fraser were both fried after a long day and a bit of a hangover. Now that I'm thinking about it, I really think we forgot that Fraser's heroes caused terror this game. If it wasn't for the deep river, I would have definitely lost this game. However, I was able to hold them up on all the flanks while my bats fucked off over the other side of the board and went off with a couple of orcs, somehow winning me a game of recon versus Rohan. A couple of very lucky factors all added up to let me win this when I really should not have. So despite my win, I was still one of the only players on the evil team to win this time, so good one overall. Had been fighting in Gondor, this meant that next game all good heroes caused terror, were fearless, and all their banner ranges increased to 6 inches. So it was really going to be an uphill struggle to win any more games using this campaign system, as we were currently getting absolutely butchered. The Middle-earth strategy battle game rules really are quite snowbally, so when you add in a bunch of extra bonuses, it really does add up and make it a lot harder to win games. Not that I'm making excuses for being shite or anything. Went and got dinner at a local Chinese restaurant that was famous for stealing ducks from the local pond to serve as crispy duck, but that wasn't going to stop me eating about 5 plates of this horrific beige coloured food.
What are you allergic to?
Oh, strawberries.
Oh, it's definitely raspberry then.
Yeah, good.
Fuck off.
Took the bell out, man.
You should say my knobs.
I don't know.
What's the size of that pint, Dave? Bring it over.
A mega pint.
Bring it over for a wee.
Highland the vlog.
He's on the big ones.
Dave's is bigger than yours, mate.
By a good
That pint glass is
double the size.
Aye. Look at the guff on that.
You could fit that down a close.
Oh. Bananas.
There's fruit. What do you think? The VD. I keep doing it till you.
Right, next up, game 4. Destroy the supplies versus some lovely Rivendell. Rivendell heroes cause terror anyway. However, the 6-inch banner and the fact they are fearless might be a bit of a pain. I was up against Chris, who you might remember from the Dundee tournament vlog, where my Gwahir absolutely shat itself and couldn't charge Galadriel. I was hoping to get a wee revenge win here. We basically deployed facing off against each other, and I just decided to move up the board. I was never going to outshoot the elves. He had Blinding Light, I had the Shadow Lord. Kind of cancels each other out, so the elf bows would win overall. Just slowly inching my forces up and keeping my fancy units at the back, hoping to not get them charged. I was really hoping to get some use out of my Hatred Elf this game. However, the 6-inch banner was proven very problematic. I couldn't win any fights within 6 inches of this banner. Kardouche, however, managed to flame burst Elrond, killing his horse and dismounting him. He then rolled a 1 on his throne rider, so you had to spend a point of might to make sure that he wasn't on the deck. Bats were able to pass his courage test along with Razgush, and we got into him. This was the moment I was going to kill Elrond. And then I got too caught up in the moment and didn't film it. But I absolutely fucked it. Elrond was out of fate and he was down to 2 wounds. So I only need to roll a 3 or higher on Razgush's D3 wounds. However, the star of Erendil must have been shining on him that day, because Razgush rolled a big fat 1, only doing 1 wound, leaving Elrond alive. The next turn I did win priority, and instead of risking my bats failing the courage test into Elrond, I decided to pop them onto the middle supply to take it, remembering it is an objective game. I'm really close fighting on the right, Elf's trying to get round to my back objective, but Big Beefy Chiefy was holding his own. I know I keep calling him Beefy Chiefy, but he's just a normal troll chieftain, not the Beefy Chiefy. It's just because of the model that I've used. Sadly, however, it did kind of go down from here. He did manage to get one of my objectives, so we were even on supplies destroyed. I had a few VPs from doing some wounds to Elrond, however he broke me, which was not great for myself. The 6-inch banner had been really oppressive and stopped me being able to kill enough of his elves. I believe it got down to 1 or 2 more to kill for me to get the break points, but I just didn't do it. The Shadow Lord failed a 3 dice black dart to kill a single elf, which would have drawn or won me the game, as I would have broken him as well.
2 points for supply.
Yep.
Going to get
1 for wounding the leader, 2 for killing.
Yep.
1 for breaking, 2 for breaking and not being broken, and 1 for banners. So currently I'm up by 1.
Up by 1.
Because I've broken you and haven't been broken.
Right.
If you break me back, you'll be up by 1. If I shoot your banner, I'll be up by 3.
So I need to break you and you need to not kill my banner.
yes.
That damn black dart! God damn it!
Much as I quite like.
We got.
Needless to say, in the last turn of the game, I did not manage to break him. I lost every single fight with my orcs, so the Hatred Elf was absolutely useful. I mean, useless. A wee bit of silver lining, my banner actually managed to survive lying down here behind this bush, so he didn't get the VPs for that. It was an absolutely fantastic game. It was right down to the wire. I absolutely loved it. Perhaps if Razgush hadn't shat the bed and if the 6-inch banner hadn't been there, I may have just pulled a win, but again, we don't know. It's the luck of the dice at the end of the day. All that matters is we have fun.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, Chris.
So for game 4, we had been playing in the Harad Wraith. This meant that Good now had poison weapons on all their heroes. Good heroes now had the following bonuses: poison weapons, they were fearless, they caused terror, and all banners were now 6 inches. This was going to be a bit of an uphill slog. Anyway, on to lunch. Some Domino's pizzas arrived for us all to stuff our faces.
This is top content.
The game seemed to finish quite quick. I saw him pop up
Before taking time to admire all the armies on display for the painting competition. before moving on to Game 5. Game 5, we de-escalate again, and we're now losing the Shadow Lord himself. He's done enough for the old sucking, so he's heading off to Mordor for a wee lie down. However, what happens is we get partnered with our doubles member. I was with Thomas and his Isengard force. We had a plan together that my bats and my chiefy would complement his bomb and his ballista, and we were up against Gondor and Rohan. We are now fighting over Rohan. Whoever won this would basically get Horse Lord on their heroes. This was the Contest of Champions double one. I decided to put my full force on the far right, and Thomas would back me up with his bombs and his ballistas, etc. The first turn went really well, apart from the one combat that mattered. Razgush managed to lose to a Royal Guard, and he'd also done a heroic combat which he failed, meaning that I lost a point of might and any VPs I could have got from killing 2 guys. So we were off to a flying start. We also managed to bait Aylmer behind the lines here to try and get Kardush. Thomas would then bring up his bomb, and unfortunately we rolled a 1 and it was a dud, and none of us had read the FAQ that says you could re-roll it the next turn, so we took it off the board. However, the reinforcements from Gondor were starting to arrive, so things were getting a bit scary. The ballista wasn't really doing much, unfortunately, as well. However, this is when the Beefy Chiefy got an amazing hurl off on Eowyn and threw her into Boromir, dismounting him. Then things just kind of started to fall apart. The bonuses were a bit too much. Theoden lost to Lutz and his Berserker friend 2 turns in a row, but we failed to kill him despite the fact that he had no might. Then, to add insult to injury, even though Aemir was completely surrounded and had the bats in him, we didn't do enough wounds to kill him. This meant that Razgush and Lutz just missed out on any VPs because they were too busy whiffing all their rolls. It was a bit frustrating having everything lined up perfectly, and yet the dice just went, fuck you, not today. So unfortunately we ended up losing this round. Then game 6, we're up against Rohan and Gondor again on the one where you need to capture the middle. I think it's whole ground, I can't remember. Unfortunately my camera ran out of battery at this point, so I didn't get any footage from this game, but it was a bit of a slaughter. The campaign bonuses were just too oppressive. At this point, Good had reroll fate, fearless leaders, terror causing leaders, poison weapons on their leaders, horse lord on their leaders. It was just a bit much, so it was an absolute slaughter in the middle. Got to the stage where I was contemplating just sucking off my whole army with Kardush.
No, it has to be.
Can Kardush suck off a troll?
Can I watch?
And as you may imagine, we also lost this game as well. This meant that I had a sum total of 1 win for this tournament.
I think actually I did.
I've got all the results in. Good one overall.
Yeah!
No way! Recount!
Well, I'll be tweaking the roll pack for the next one because the way GW is written, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's spiral as soon as you start winning.
That's lovely.
Best painted goes to Cameron.
Fucking oil wash, boo!
Is this for the best?
Yeah.
Oil wash is cheating, mate.
Oil wash.
First
paper
place
stands.
goes to Aaron.
Is that?
Oh!
Yeah. Second goes to Stuart. And Little gets first.
I'm submitting a complaint.
He got carried in the doubles.
Aye. Cheers, Hamish.
Thanks for running it, Dylan.
Yeah, thanks, Peter.
Second place vlogging, winning vlogging, nonce. I don't know where I came vlogging.
What was that?
He's a nonce.
There's a little bit of confidence booster.
And with that out of the way, it was time to go home. I always hate leaving everybody and saying goodbye. It was an absolutely amazing weekend, and thank you to Cami for hosting me. It was fantastic. Hopefully make it back up there soon, and if you're ever in the area, do make sure to check out the Pop Shop in Elgin. It's a fantastic little shop with some amount of stock in it. There will definitely be something that you want to buy. Thank you to all the Patreons who support the channel, it really means the world to me. Thank you so much. And if Patreon isn't your thing, just make sure to watch, like and comment. I love yous all, and I'll see you in the next one. Love, love, love. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember to give my bell a good old ring.
Wow. You can tell he's not happy, he's sticking his ass at me. Look at that. Big rabbit ass. Oh my god. Vlogging! 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 Sandwiches! Car vlogging! Car vlogging! 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 River vlogging! Vlogging! Jeremy Clarkson! Pub vlogging! Vlogging! Alcohol vlogging! Alcohol vlogging! Ordering dessert vlogging! 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 Breakfast vlogging! Gaming vlogging! Vlogging! Gaming vlogging!
Winning vlogging.
Vlogging!
Browsing vlogging.
Fuck off.
Lunch vlogging. Urination vlogging. Effing vlogging. Vlogging.
Fuck off.
Vlogging. Cardio vlogging. Vlogging. Street vlogging. Street vlogging.
I'm vlogging and so's my wife.
Chinese vlogging. 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 Battle top gaming. Vlogging. Vlogging.
Gordon what?
Plastic. Vlogging. Plastic ass. Laughing vlogging. Flash game vlogging. Plastic ass vlogging. Elgin vlogging. Vlogging. Vlogging.
John, thanks for breaking like all my spears over here, by the way.
I didn't break your spears.
You'll live.
Breaking spears vlogging.
Cheating vlogging. Cheating vlogging.
Vlogging. Vlogging. Vlogging. Vlogging. Vlogging. Vlogging. Second place vlogging. Winning vlogging. Nance. I don't know where I am. Vlogging. Last day of Elgin vlogging. Vlogging. Urination vlogging.
Fucking iron brew down my legs, man. Look at this state. I'm gonna have fucking cold thighs for this.
It'll be warm until it cools down.
Effing vlogging.
Ah, it's pissed, that's what it is. Look, I've pissed this side and this side without it connecting. That's a skill. That is a skill. I've pissed like...
Enjoy getting Lords of War again, the Lords of Battle against that first list.
2 dragons, Greenland, the Kiwi.
I don't think he's bringing. I think it's. I don't know if he's bringing. I'm pretty sure his first list is just 2 dragons, Prima and Saruman.
So what? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 2 dragons, Greenland, Saruman. So he's got 4 models.
You win?
He won. Oh, I failed all my courage tests and everything, so they just fled instantly. On the first ones they suffered.
To be fair, you did pass one of them once you spent extra.
Yeah, when I spent my will. Yeah.
It was
Both dragons just ran away.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad time. Fucking accidentally turned into a small Tory community here. Oh, he's fucking a sauna in his fucking garage.
That gap out Hot Fuzz. The grinder good.
Just in the middle of fucking nowhere, this weird cobblestone path.